Okay, Joey, go ahead.
What's up, Joey?
Hey, Aaron, happy Friday, man. How are you?
Happy Friday, brother. I am just as ecstatic as you, big dog.
Hey, we just got a chance to talk to Devin, and he, I know you've called him a junkyard dog in the past, and he kind of seems to pride himself on always being up and always being, trying to be at his best every day. For a coach to not have to dig at that part of him, how much does that kind of help get the most out of him on the field?
I think it's one of those innate qualities that you look for when you go out and recruit a kid, and sometimes it's hard to see that over the phone, or it's hard to see that if you're not physically at a kid's practice or physically watching them play. But to have that as a coach, I mean, I love it. I love it, man, because like you can pretty much have a pretty good gauge on the room based off of him, because he's there. He gonna let you know he's there, and he's like that 24/7 on the field, off the field. Devin Witherspoon is Devin, like that's how he is 24/7, and so like that's in his DNA. And as his position coach, like I love that, man. Like I absolutely love it. Like if there was a quality that I was looking for in a kid outside of him being extremely confident, right, it'll be that. And he checks that box, and not to say that it makes my life easier, but when your players can get up more than you can as a coach, as opposed to you trying to motivate them, like I think sometimes that's half the battle, and Devin is always up, like that's who he is, and so it's definitely beneficial for us.
And we saw he and Tony looks like they were the top two cornerbacks on Monday going into the season. How do you feel about those two as your top two? And what have you learned about them in the 3 or 4 months that you've known them?
Well, they're both extremely different, right? They're both extremely, extremely different, but they're both extremely talented, right? So Devin is a little more boisterous, a little more outspoken. He's going to let you know he's there. And Tony's a little more quiet. When I say quiet, I'm talking about in terms of just like he's not as – anybody can be quiet next to Devin, right? But he's not as loud. He's going to get his job done. They're both going to communicate, but Devin is just like, you're going to see him, you're going to feel him, you're going to hear him like 24/7. Like Tony going to do his job. He's going to do a great job of doing his job, and he's going to handle his responsibilities, And so like, I'm like the progression that these young men have made, like every last one of them that they've made from practice 1, right? When I was in meetings today, I showed them where we were at practice 1 to yesterday, practice 14, right? Has been absolutely tremendous. Now, these dudes were already talented, right? But for what we're trying to get done and what we're trying to do, I think they've made leaps and strides, right, over the course of 14 practices so far. We're really looking forward to having this last one.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Have a good weekend, man.
Thank you, brother. You too.
Hey, Coach Henry. I was going to ask you about Devin's kind of swagger and how much he's willing to talk before this, but then you kind of hit on it. So can you kind of just talk about the importance of a DB kind of having that swagger and the ability to kind of talk trash a little bit? Because it seems like that's just like part of what defensive backs do.
Well, I think sometimes, I think some DBs can get caught up in talking trash and not being any good, and they're so focused on the trash talking. And so when you're a really good player, though, I think you like, and that's part of your game. I think that's who you are, and I think that can make you a really elite player if it's utilized the right way, right? Like Deion Sanders was who he was because he was a hell of a football player, and whatever he said, he backed up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what made Deion special. Chad Ochocinco was a hell of a football player, but whatever he said, he backed it up. And so I'm not saying Devin Witherspoon is Deion Sanders, but I think that the young man has talent he has it. The good Lord blessed him, right? And he's not afraid to let you know that he has it. You know what I mean? And I think at times, on the outside looking in, or coaches may think, man, I need to reel that back a little bit. Not me, because I was the same exact way, and I want to let these young men be themselves, but play within the confines of what we want to get done, right? And so if that's who he is, I want to make sure he can be that within the confines of what we want to do. And he's been doing all of that, man. And I don't want to change his personality. I don't want to change who he is. I just want to make him more of who he already is.
So you mentioned that you kind of were that kind of same player who kind of spoke out a little bit. You're from Florida, Devin's from Florida. Do you see some of yourself in Devin Witherspoon now that you're a coach and older? Do you see some of yourself in him?
I will never tell Devin this, but Devin is a hell of a lot more athletic than I was. I can tell you that right now. So a lot of people don't know this about Spoon, as we call him around here. Spoon was a 6'7" high jumper. I couldn't jump 6'7" if I was on the trampoline. All right, so the good Lord naturally blessed that young man with the innate ability to go up and get the football, right? With the innate ability to jump, all right? We probably speed-wise, our speed was probably rather similar, but to jump that high, you know, like you can make up for a lot of ground, right? If you're not as fast. I think Devin is a combination of fast and he can jump high, you know, and he has tremendous ball skills, right? Devin was a baseball player as well. And so like the kid checks all the boxes, man, in terms of what you're looking for coming out of high school, in particular athletes. And so I would say the one of the main things we had in common, both of us like to talk trash, both of us being from Florida. Would I give myself the edge in terms of just straight line speed? Maybe, right? But everything else, he got me beat by a long mile, man.
And then if I could get one quick follow-up, I keep seeing pictures of you in your room after practice floating around on social media, whether it's the guys sharing it on their own, you sharing it on yours. How much of those guys really just kind of bought in and helped you guys kind of build that relationship that you're looking to build? I
can promise you this, right? So before we start every practice, we get a prayer together. All right. After we get off the field, we get a prayer together. And so I want these young men to know that yes, I'm their coach, but we're family more than anything. And so at the end of practice, right, at the end of a work day, you just got done busting your tail. This name, image, and likeness thing is about to come full circle, but you're busting your tail. And they got cameras out there, and you know DB's gonna be DBs, right? They want to flick it up for the camera a little bit, show their face a little bit, and just have a good time, man. And I just also I want these young men to be able to show their personality not only through how they play, but through images, right? Like 10 years from now, they're gonna be able to look back on some of those pictures, right? And man, we had a great day that day, man. I had a blast in camp. We learned in the spring ball, I'm sorry. We learned a lot of football with Coach Henry. We developed some great relationships with Coach Henry. You know what I'm saying? And so like for me, it's more so memory based. You know, I'll take some of those same pictures and blow them up and have them in my office and have them at my home. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. It's just the foundation of trying to make sure I have relationships and build relationships with these young men. And the camera's around at the end, and so we like to smile a little bit. We like to let people know that we're there.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, Aaron. Good to see you. I know we've talked a fair amount about Devin and about Tony. Were there any other guys in that DB's room that really stood out to you during the spring game, whether we're talking orange or blue side? And I know that Coach Bielema has mentioned to us a couple times that the safety room is a little short-handed, but even so, just any other guys who stood out as well.
Absolutely, man. I think Kendall has done a tremendous job this spring as well. You know, Kendall's one of our longer corners. You know, I think from practice 1 to practice 14, he's gotten so much better, man. So much better in his technique and what we're trying to get done. And so I think he's going to help us when the season starts. I think the dark horse in all of this is Tavion Nicholson. And so Taz is a very, very, very special talent. Taz does things on the field that you can't coach. Taz does make mistakes like every DB does, but Taz has some innate ability in him, right? That's going to make him really, really special, right? Once he figures it out. I think there during this process of spring ball, there was some growing pains with him, and he's still learning, right? But for years to come, I'm really, really looking forward to working with Taz, because I think he's going to be a really, really good player. He has all the tools to be a really, really, really good player. And it's my job over the course of his time here and make sure he maximizes it. And I'm just really excited about working with the whole room. Obviously, we know Talon. Talon was put on scholarship for us. You know, Talon's like our dark horse. We can pretty much move him anywhere, you know, play a little bit of safety, play a little bit of nickel. Obviously in the spring game, you saw him play a little bit of safety. So he had some guys dinged up a little bit, but I'm really proud and excited for every last one of the guys in my room. Again, from practice 1 to 14, I think guys have bought in. You know, I think anytime there's change and transition, you're always like hesitant at first, but guys seeing what kind of person I am, what kind of person I truly am, all right, how my core is made up, and I think they want to be better football players, because I think all the relationships that we have and the relationship that we've built has allowed them to do that and trust me.
And for the guys who were on the blue team for that spring game, I know they were faced with a lot of difficulties in the DB side of things on the blue side. But what did you preach to those guys as far as the opportunity that was for them, just getting to compete against those proverbial number ones, I guess, in a setting like that?
Well, I mean, anytime we play in a football game, right, like there's always going to be a winner and a loser. And so just constantly in my room, I'm always preaching about taking advantage of the opportunity that you have. You know, like anytime we playing again, we're playing to win. You know, obviously you're going to be graded on your technique and your assignment and how well did you do your job and how fast did you do your job. But just like really taking advantage of the opportunity that you have at that particular moment, you know, and whether it's a play, right, a quarter, a half, a game, like just take full advantage of it, you know, because when we start, obviously come fall camp, right, I'm going to have 4 other corners walking this bad boy wanting to play, right? Which that's exactly what I want. You know what I'm saying? And then there's going to be a lot more competition, you know? And so I'm just constantly trying to build these guys with the mindset of like, focus on what you have now and take full advantage of it, right? And let's maximize what you can do right now. Let's not worry about what can happen. Let's maximize what we can do right now so we can be the best players we're capable of being. I think there were some ups and downs. I think there were some peaks and valleys during that process, but overall as a unit, I felt like we got better.
Thanks, Aaron. Have a good weekend.
You too, brother.
Coach, I want to take you back to your playing career for a second.
Don't remind me.
So when you were a senior, and this game in the last decade of Illinois football sticks out as this example I've always used of field position. So Illinois, Wisconsin, 2011, your senior year.
Yes, sir.
Illinois is surprisingly playing well, has a 17-7 lead at halftime.
Yep, they were up 14-0 during the game.
Yeah, up early, and Wisconsin offense really struggling. But Wisconsin wins basically because of 3 interceptions and a fumble and the 4 touchdowns. So Wisconsin wins 28-17. The 4 Wisconsin touchdown drives were 2 yards, 30 yards, 44 yards, and 39 yards, which put it away after your interception. So it's always been this example of a game I've used as, look, you can play this, you can do absolutely everything right. But 3 interceptions on your side of the field, and you're going to lose. Like it takes away everything else. Do you preach that? Like I'm sure that coaching staff preached that to you at Wisconsin. Do you use moments like that to preach that to your corners?
Robert, I think you were in my meeting room this week. I really believe that you had a camera hidden in my meeting room. So it's funny that you say that. I think it was like 3 days ago, I pull up some of my highlights, right? Just to, you know, as a coach, sometimes you got to remind these dudes that you was a pretty good player. So I pull up some of my highlights, and my highlights were against Illinois, you know, and it showed the pick that I had. It showed a couple of the picks that we had in the game, but it specifically showed the pick that I had. But you know, that's not just a me thing, right? That's what's being put into our program. So Coach B, I wish you guys can be in this building and see this dude, man. Like I'm so freaking thrilled to be with Brett Bielema, man. Like right now he's like out of worldly with just how he does some things and the way he does it. So I'm gonna give you a prime example, right? Coach B always talks about how more games are lost than won. That phrase specifically, more games are lost than won. All right. And he flashes back, you know, and he's showing our players, right, when he was at different stops in his career, how we lost the game, or he lost the game, or a player lost the game, right? And how simple mistakes eventually end up to you losing, right? So the phrase "more games are lost than won," right, is simply based on like things that we can control, right? So that specific day, Illinois could have controlled throwing interceptions, right? Whether the ball was tipped, all right, receiver catching the ball, right? Quarterback making a bad read. Like, we can't have those plays happen, right? We can't have those plays happen if we want to have a great chance to beat this really, really good football team in Wisconsin at the time, right? We can't beat ourselves, essentially, is what he's saying. And so as we're progressing as coaches, you know, and as I'm talking to my players, kind of reiterating what Coach B's talking about, I'm flashing back to my time at Wisconsin when we played Michigan. All right, Michigan beat us on a last-second play. I'm still sick to my stomach with that play. I can still visualize what happened, all right, that last-second play, right? And we were up on them 14-0, but I can tell you we lost that game. We lost that game, right? Coach will tell you we lost that game. We did everything we could to lose that game. We turned the ball over. All right, we didn't take advantage of opportunity. We were up 14-0, and they come back and win the game. Were they a good football team? 100%. 100%. But we did everything we were supposed to do to lose that game, right? And so I'm constantly just reminding our guys, all right, about situational football. How can we take advantage of this quarterback? How can we take advantage of this offense, right? When the ball carrier's running with the football, right? Does he got it tight to his core, or is he wild with it, right? That's an opportunity for us to get a punch at it. You know, like games are lost, right? Because really, really good teams can expose those weaknesses, all right, that a team may not know until they actually get into the game. And so, like, around this building, man, coach is doing a tremendous job at preaching it. There's times in practice where he'll stop practice, all right, and have an emphasis point where he's talking to the offense or defense about just situational awareness and situational football. Because sometimes our players can get so caught up in just playing the game, right? Playing the game. It's first down. They just playing. They're not understanding, okay, it's first down in a high red zone. All right, there's things that offenses like to do. There's things that coaches like to do. There's schematic things that teams like to do. And so understanding that. So the more our guys understand that, the more our guys understand that more games are lost than won, I think the better they'll be, because they'll be more cognizant of it, right? They'll have more strain when they're working towards being better at it, which I think overall is going to make us a better football team. If I answered.
Good answer. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But you were definitely in my meeting this week.
Yeah, I got everything bugged. Don't worry.
Anything else, you guys? You're good.
Have a good weekend, boys.
Thanks, Coach.